You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share facts.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is We'll do it live! Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000! My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Do a barrel roll. Don't save me, bro. It's a trap. I'm a firing believer. Time to do. Hey, Charlie, wake up. Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello everybody, it is Phoenix 92.5 FM here on Saturday, Nerd to Know basis 154. The last show before Comic-Con, the show that Keane is now married in. And so obviously when this is going out, we're at Keane's wedding. So he's not here tonight because he's off doing all the things that need to be done.
Correction, now when you're listening to this, you're at Keane's wedding. I will be out of the country.
This is true. I'll be so drunk I won't know where I am.
I mean, I'll probably be that. I'll be that as well, but I'll be doing that in Gothenburg.
This is fair. I am jealous. Gothenburg sounds cool.
Like, Keane's wedding is going to be sick, and I obviously wish him all the best and congratulate him. But I'm going to go see Rammstein, and that's going to be a hoot and a holler.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm going to see a stage that will literally outgrow the stadium it is sitting in.
Well, you heard him. Ahoy to you, Kevin Coffey. How are things, Kevin?
I am doing good. I am doing well, Dara. How are you?
I am good. I'm tired. I had many experiences this week. So we have many story time. We have a lot to get through this week.
Yeah, busy all week.
I mean, look, obviously our panel was announced. So let's start that first. It was actually announced. Kev, I didn't even realize it was, but thanks to the guys over in Geek Ireland. Our panel is going to be on the Sunday. So the 7th of August, 3 p.m. in one of the panel rooms.
I think it's actually the Geek Ireland panel room. I think they're the media sponsor.
Oh, brilliant. So there we go. That's it there. So, I mean, if you haven't got your ticket yet, do. And then come over and hang out with us.
There is still Sunday tickets available as the time recording. So,
yeah. So, I mean, do come over, hang out. It's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be our first con back since the pandemic, really kind of doing panels and that. So it's literally everything is wrestling panel. We're still working on who's going to be in it, but at the moment it looks like it's going to be Kev, myself, Martin from Wrestling Rewind, Keane, and then Katie's going to be helping out as well. So at the moment that's who's going to be there. If it changes, follow our social media. This week actually I set up I haven't fixed the website yet, but I have actually created a link tree, Kevin.
Yeah, no, I had a look at it. It's really slick. It's all really clearly laid out there.
Well, that's it. I mean, there was common stuff, particularly at the Rewind. It's like, where do we find it? I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of hard to get the Wrestling Rewind because everyone has that taken. So you have to do weird ones. But I mean, if you go to nerdtoknowmedia.com or the wrestlingrewind.com, you're able to find everything, all the social media, the email, the Spotify, the iTunes, literally everything, even our Patreon's there as well. So, I mean, if you want to contact us or follow the show, this is how you do it. I mean, there's literally no excuse. I will not have anybody say your show's too hard to find. I'm like, that's a lie. It's not. I consciously made it easy as possible to find.
You go straight to the source.
Exactly. nerdtoknowmedia.com.
You go straight to the source and you bully Bryn on Twitter.
You have to. I mean, you have to. Casper. Actually, I might make a little button that just does it automatically.
What else is technology for?
You just click it and it has a bot that's designed just to harass Bryn. I'm actually going to make that. It's going to be wonderful. So there you go, folks. That will be added. But yeah, I mean, if you want to support the show, the best way, obviously, we're on Phoenix 92.5 FM. But the best way to support us really is to spread word of the show. The listener, I know you guys listen. spread the word, because that really helps us as well. And then come to Comic-Con and hang out and say hey, because I mean, you know, you might not get the bully Brennan person there, but you get to bully us.
But man, a person could dream. Now I think we'll cut it there, because we did spend literally all of last week talking about Dublin City Comic Con. So I think we'll move on though, because there was another big convention happened over the last weekend after we recorded the last one. Yeah, and that's the mecca of all of our news interests, and that's San Diego Comic Con.
Yeah, where no comics were discussed.
No, never. No, but that's crazy to even mention that, Darren. Why would you do that? Because what would make you think about comics, Darren?
Well, here's the thing. It's funny. So this week, right? So obviously we had San Diego Comic Con, right? But what's interesting about it is I actually got a bunch of comics this week. So I got the first appearance of Gore, first appearance of Lady Thor, first appearance of Adam Warlock, his whole run with Eternity, and I actually picked up as well basically the Warlock's Companion. So Adam Warlock's Companion, which is all the stories going all the way back to around the cosmic stuff. And then today, what arrived was Kang, Nothing Left to Conquer, or Only Myself to Conquer, depending on which one it is. That's a great run. That's one of the best Marvel runs. So I mean, this week was a very, very comic heavy week for me. So it is kind of ironic that we're talking about Comic-Con and no comics mentioned. I also have to talk about one thing before we get into Superior Iron Man. Now, I can't find that anywhere unless it's digital, but Superior Iron Man is part of a run where Iron Man goes evil.
Okay.
So what happens is basically Red Skull fuses with Xavier and takes over his consciousness, tricks Tony Stark into building adamantium sentinels, right? So what happens then is Scarlet Witch and Magneto actually have to poison his mind and cast a spell that turns all the heroes evil and all the villains good. And what comes out of that is Tony Stark as the superior Iron Man. And it is, from what I've seen of it, one of the coolest ideas that has ever been done. And a missed opportunity, personally, that he wasn't in Doctor Strange 2. I mean, that's what they should have done. Like, there's your villain, the superior Iron Man. Cast Tom Cruise as that. No, legitimately, that's not a joke. Okay. Cast him, because he was supposed to be Iron Man initially, right?
Yeah.
Cast him as evil Tony Stark, and you have such a cool idea. Because I mean, they're going to bring back Iron Man anyway, or we'll talk about it.
Yeah, no, we have pretty much confirmation. Well, obviously, we know we're getting Ironheart, but we have confirmed now in the new trailer that she is getting introduced in Wakanda Forever at the end of this year. Yeah. So we know that there is a new Iron Man in the works.
Yeah, like
Iron Man quote.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I mean, but the main thing here is I think that's a missed opportunity, because like basically, and we will go in again, like pick that up if you can. It's on Comixology, because I can't actually, I'm not paying €70 for a trade. Might be able to get it at Comic-Con actually, because as I said, the one thing that never goes to comics is comics, but they're always there. So I will be having a look. But what's interesting about this is this whole, so we got confirmation from the Marvel side of things that Secret War and the multiversal thing, so this is called the multiverse saga, right? So I mean, that's cool. They're going to be rewriting things and introducing things and setting up. So that's kind of what they've been doing. And I guess we'll start there. I do have something to say about when we go through the slate, because you know there was a video I watched that I want to talk about, but we will kind of go through. So Kev, on the Marvel side of things, actually, hold on real quick.
Yeah.
D&D. You're a D&D guy. You guys won't play D&D with me, so I have no attachment to it.
No.
But,
like one of the big things, it was teased a lot before us, and we've kind of getting drip feeds of information for, frankly, a movie that I didn't think would ever actually come out. We are getting a Dungeons and Dragons licensed movie. And we got our full trailer with our full cast reveal. And, I don't have much thoughts about it, because it kind of just looks like a big fun fantasy romp. And I'm not, I suppose I don't want to hype it up too much, because I don't think it'll be the greatest movie in the world.
I remember the first one. It wasn't good.
Never seen it. I have it. I have a
Oh,
DVD copy of it, and I'm waiting for a day where like I can get my D&D party together to watch
I
it.
saw it in the cinema.
Oh, wonderful.
It wasn't. You
Uh,
know why Jeremy Irons did it? Because he was asked why he did that movie. And he goes, I wanted to buy a new boat.
So listen, can't hey, listen, can't blame him.
Honesty is just come on.
But you know, it looks like kind of a nice big ensemble casting, and the cast is good. The cast is really solid.
Yeah.
The choice to cast Chris Pine as a bard, I think, is inspired. He's got that kind of cheeky look in his eye. But yeah, no, Reggie John Page, Michelle Rodriguez. I am all here for the old man Hugh Grant revival. Paddington 2 has now just elevated him to a level. Listen, have you seen it?
No, but you know this is a running joke in the Nick Cage movie, where his daughter's like, Paddington 2 is the best movie ever, and then Nick Cage watches at the end, and they all start crying. He goes, "This is the greatest feat of acting ever."
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's like there's a reason it was better than Citizen Kane. It's incredible. It's got everything. It's got drama. It's got stakes. It's got a chain trace, and it's got Hugh Grant playing the best role that man has ever played in his life. He literally plays an actor and plays several different roles in the movie. It's extravagant. It's amazing. I
don't know. Anyway, go on. Continue.
As I said, I think like the D&D movie, it looks good. It looks fun. A lot of D&D tropes. People are complaining about the druid turning into an owlbear. To them, I say, hey, maybe have fun with D&D for once. Just a thought. But what I really hope that this kind of launch pad is because D&D is such a wide and varied kind of universe in its own narratives and its own mythology. That like I hope that this is like kind of a big budget, kind of big advanced kicks off D&D as a kind of a franchise that we can get weirder D&D stuff. Give us like a weird kind of gritty crime drama in the Underdark is what this is the kind of the regression I'm looking for is, oh, this D&D movie did well, so let's go spin off and just give it to the hands of just a bunch of creative people and let's make some weird kind of avant-garde animated D&D stuff. Because there's plenty of D&D source material like novels.
See, the only question I have on that, right, is the appeal of D&D, from what I understand, is you get to make your own story and have your own adventure. So the people's attachment aren't to characters per se, they're to their character. So, and I think this is why the last D&D one failed as well, because you haven't seen it, and it was terrible. It really, really was. I only saw it the one time, and it stuck with me forever. Trying to actually do that is hard in a movie. For example, you go see a DC property, and it has a character, and you know what's going to happen. With this having basically archetypes, how do you make that work? Because the way they did it last time, and even in the TV show in the 80s or 90s, can't remember which one, they were kids transported into D&D.
Oh yeah, no, I did see that.
Yeah,
that's it. Like,
and I mean, that's how they got around it. This is always that problem.
Yes, I think it fully just depends on making it an ensemble cast and just, you know, making those characters enjoyable. They don't have to be deep and rich. I just think they have to be fun. Frankly, they can be one-dimensional so long as
here's what you could do.
Yeah.
Here's what you could do. And what I would actually, the way I would play it, literally just have people playing D&D.
Have a kind of a meta narrative story.
Yeah, kind of like in the Lego movie.
It could work.
You have to set it up some way.
It could be hokey. That's the thing.
It's gonna be hokey anyway. It's D&D.
Yeah. No, you got me there. I don't know, because I think like D&D, Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons have built a world, have built a mythology. There are people, there are characters, there are narratives. So like, you know, while the party that'll be here in this probably won't be major characters, they will interact with like heads of state in Neverwinter, heads of state in Waterdeep. They will probably go to one of the several infernal planes and speak to one of the higher deities that are named in the monster manual. But there is characters, there is world, there is
absolutely. But
yeah.
what I'm saying to you is like, is the appeal of D&D not do explore? It's like if they made an Elder Scrolls movie, it would flop because no one wants to listen to any of that. They want to just kill dragons.
I mean, that's it. The appeal of D&D can be both, I think. I think it, like, you know, the appeal of it as the role-playing game, much like any kind of role-playing game, in that it's that format. In that format, it is about kind of being that character and inhabiting that world and making your own stories. But it's also it can also be a launch pad to create these own fictions.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a good way of looking. Like,
yeah.
I mean, again, my only concern would be who's it for, you know?
I mean, I think like it's what I'm seeing it as.
Not concern as such. I mean, it's just it's an interesting thing. It's like
kind of a critique. What I'm seeing it as is using it. It's just kind of using the recognizable name of Dungeons and Dragons
as a launchpad,
as a kickstart to just have a fantasy story.
Okay,
that's like it's going. It's just go. Yeah, like it's just going to be kind of a very kind of like original, like the quote unquote original fantasy action movie.
Right. Okay.
I think that's kind of that's the way I'm looking at it.
Cool. Well, look, obviously we'll be keeping an eye on it, much like Doctor Who and Star Wars. These are things that we have to kind of keep an eye on as such, as we do. There are buckets as such. But yeah, moving into the MCU, because I mean that's what everyone's been talking about this week. Well, there is another thing as well, but we'll get to that. The MCU basically announced their entire slate, right? So starting with Ant-Man and the Wasp, ending with the Thunderbolts into 2024, and then finally ending with 2 Avenger movies. So Fantastic Four in 2024, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty in 2025, and then at the end of 2025, Avengers: Secret Wars. So I mean, now I'm going to go through the whole lot here. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Secret Invasion, the TV show, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Echo, Loki Season 2, The Marvels, Blade, Ironheart, Agatha, which is a Disney Plus series, same Ironheart. Daredevil's also a Disney Plus series. Captain America, The New World Order, Thunderbolts, they're both movies. And then, of course, FF is a movie, and the 2 Avengers are as well. I heard the single worst take I've ever heard in my life during the week. And that's why I watched it. His whole thing was phase 5 is sludge, and it continues on. And his critique is, I'll be honest with you, certain points justified and certain points others. And it got me thinking, by people taking this stance that either, you know, we have to defend everything or we have to fight everything, it's getting lost. And I mean, like, this critique, while what he was saying was on point at certain points, at other points it was completely off base, you know. And I mean, like, certain movies here, and we're going to talk about them, and there's certain projects here that we're going to talk about as well that are bad or could be bad, and there's others that are good. I mean, what isn't listed here, which is interesting, is Black Panther 2, which is surprising because that's coming out soon.
I think that's probably because why it's just not that they're like, because I don't think Ant-Man and the Wasp had a date before this.
Yeah, well,
I think it was just slated for early 2023, and plus,
no, it did February. It did February. Yeah, it always did. Yeah.
Plus, I think like I didn't watch the panel now, but I think most of the panel actually was focusing on Wakanda Forever. A lot of the cast came out. So like this is more looking forward. Like we know, like they're in the press cycle for Wakanda Forever. That's like that's in the culture now. We know that. This segment was just what's next.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I mean, it looks like Namor is going to be brought in. Shuri looks like she's going to be Black Panther, but the actress, I don't even think she's still in the movie because she got fired a little while ago.
Yeah, I don't know
what they're doing.
there's a lot of confusion because I think a lot of people are reckoning Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o's character, might be taking it up. Which, listen, Lupita Nyong'o is great.
This is what I'm saying. There is critique there, and I'm just kind of like, it's kind of frustrating for me as a Marvel fan to be like, okay, one, there's this fundamental misunderstanding that these are not movies. They're not movies. These are comic book episodes, right? And another thing is like saying, oh, it's just constant sludge or whatever. It's like, no, I mean, each of these are telling a story. I mean, I do think your take is more accurate, but the way I would like people who listen to this show to think about this is these are just comic books. If you don't, and when you go into, I think there's something like 30 comics drop every week, Kevin, right? I don't go in and buy all those comics. I buy the ones I want to read.
No.
And I mean, with this slate, for example, I have no interest in the Marvels, right? No interest in Ironheart. No interest in Echo, right? And even Captain America, New World Order, it's the worst title ever because I'm just thinking of wrestling, like literally the New World Order. So, I mean, it's a meme already.
You're not going to watch the Captain America because you know Hulk Hogan won't show up.
Well, I mean, if he did, I'd want to watch it less. I think that'd be interesting.
That's fair.
For reasons that go into the real world. But I mean, none of those appeal to me at all, right? And even Black Panther 2, I'll watch it on Disney Plus, right? Unless something really cool happens in it, and then you have to watch it, right? But I mean, that's the way.
But that's kind of been the trajectory of all of these since Infinity War. Is none of the stuff that's come out has been like as ground shattering and necessary outside of maybe Spider-Man Far From Home or No Way Home.
But that's my point.
That's it. So you're absolutely right.
That's exactly my point.
It is very much a matter of jumping in and out of what you think you need to see now, which is great. Like,
and see and that's the critique that this guy misses, and taking this stance of everything's terrible because it's woke. It's like
just drawing broad swaths. Like
exactly.
Yeah, they're all owned by Disney and Marvel, but all of these are being run by various different creative teams.
The way to look at this is these are comic books, and I do agree. Well, they're not films because they're not films. Obviously, some of these are TV shows. These are just what Kevin Feige has done, and I think this will just absolutely end this BS altogether. Is these are just comic books that move. That's it, and they're rolled out the same way, they're structured the same way, they have the same characters. I mean, here's the thing: Ironheart's a terrible character. Legitimately, she is awful. Her runs are horrendous, but we've seen horrendous characters be saved, as we talked about. Like, we've talked about this with Miss Marvel. They managed to, not Miss Marvel, America Sanchez in Doctor Strange 2. She's one of the worst characters ever put to paper, and they saved her. So, I mean, I have faith in this as well. When I saw that, I was like, lad, seriously. And then I unsubscribed.
But there's some interesting things kind of kicking across these. Like, a lot of them are sequels. We know that. I think we know what we're going to get with Guardians 3 and James Gunn.
Death's probably.
I think
it's the last of the Guardians.
The which, sorry?
That Guardians team are ending after this.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they're probably all going to die. No, legitimately. Like, that's probably what's going to happen. Suicide Squad and Guardians always have that crossover. So there is that kind of restructuring of the team. And that's when you bring in Adam Warlock, because he's the next big character in Guardians.
Yeah, they did set that up at the end of the last one.
They did. And contracts are running out. I mean, dude, I'm not going to say for sure, but Adam Warlock is the next Guardians of the Galaxy team. And then they build a team around him. And that's kind of the way this works.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see.
Yeah. But there's a view, obviously, I think the one that jumps to me immediately, probably the big kind of reveal that we've kind of known is building up is Daredevil.
Yeah, that was surprising.
We're getting the revitalization of Charlie Cox's Netflix's Daredevil,
but also rated R. Marvel.
The one that I noticed is the fact that they're doing, is it 18 episodes?
Yeah.
Which has just kind of given me pause because all the Marvel stuff so far has been 6 I think 6 to 8. Was Loki 8 or was Loki 6?
Loki was 6, I think.
Loki was 6.
Yeah.
So like short form 6 episodes that kind of like, for the most part, tell and wrap up a story.
Mm.
And while truly, I think some of them could have been longer, like Miss Marvel, loved it. Some of it was rushed. That could have done with being maybe an 8 episode show. 18 is a lot.
But there's a lot of ground. There's a lot of ground to cover.
There's a lot of ground to cover, but it's also a lot of ground that has been covered. So
not necessarily. Here's why, right? So, have you read Born Again?
I safely assume I have not read a comic.
So Born Again is the Daredevil comic written by Frank Miller in the 80s. It's actually the Daredevil movie that came out with Ben Affleck pretty much tells that story in a really terrible way. A lot of ground has been covered in the Netflix series, but what Daredevil's doing, because Daredevil's actually going to show up with She-Hulk as well.
Yes.
So Daredevil is the ground hero. He's there when the cold faces meet. So that what will probably happen is because again in the comics, I know I should have a soundboard where I just say these phrases.
In the comics.
In the comics, what happens is Daredevil's role is very like Mr. Fantastic's role. People show up and hang out, and he's there doing things. So what's probably going to happen is you're going to have not low-level characters, but characters that they want to do somewhere or stories that they want to do happen within that Born Again run that they haven't already touched. So they're going to bring in everybody or reintroduce or whatever and reset that status quo. So when Daredevil's needed, he can show up with things and his story's going. I think he's probably the linchpin of this phase in a weird way. I mean, he's the most realistic character that they have. I hate to use the term, but
which is really funny considering the focus on this phase has been, wow, look at all the wild infinitesimal multiversal stuff is going on. And the most important character is going to be the blind dude with batons in New York.
I mean, that's it needs to have some kind of heart to it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they're trying to do with Ironheart, where she's taken over from Tony Stark, who was the heart. And again, like Doctor Strange is off doing his own thing, so he will come back eventually. But my concern with Ironheart, I love Iron Man. I think Iron Man's probably one of the best characters that they've ever done. Ironheart did not sell well, but they could do something cool. I mean, they need to bring back those suits for Armor Wars. So it is kind of a thing they kind of have to do. But I think this grounding will be done in Daredevil and then setting up into the Thunderbolts, who are like evil Avengers, but not really. Kind of, sort of, maybe.
So that's it. Out of all of these, like again, as I've made clear, comics, do not know. I picked up, I'd say, most of context for everything else across this. Yeah, the Thunderbolts are the one that I have absolutely no basis in understanding here.
Well, they've already been set up. So John Walker, Abomination, Yelena, that's who they have so far set up. So they have four or five already.
Oh, that's who.
That's what the Thunderbolts are. That's who woman's recruiting them. Yeah, she's like evil Nick Fury. Yeah. She is.
She is. She
evil Nick
100% is.
Yeah, that's her role. Yeah, so like they're like they're not evil, but they kind of are, but they're not really. So yeah, they're just a team up.
So would that be? Would they play a core function in Secret Wars then?
Yeah, that's what they're doing. So Secret Invasion. So Secret Invasion is going to set up the Skrulls, obviously.
Yeah,
and they're going to be peppered through these movies as well. I think Daredevil will probably play a huge role in that as well, and Loki, obviously. But yeah, they're going to set up. That's what this whole thing is. You know, now in the comics,
womp womp.
You know what the Beyonder takes them all to Battle World, right? And they fight. So they need to set this up. So the Kang Dynasty is going to obviously break the multiverse and have this multiversal war, which will be concluded in Secret Wars. That's probably what they're going to do. But they need to have people. So they need to have these characters that they can pull from to be able to do these massive team ups. But I will say at the end of by phase 6, there will be a reset, because you can't really go bigger than this. They'll do a reset and they'll probably introduce Doctor Doom at some point as well. And then you'll have your new team. Well,
yeah, that's like, I mean, because the Fantastic Four is after these Avengers movies.
No,
it's before. It's just before.
Just before. Yeah, just before.
Yeah, Doom's kind of the next pivotal step.
Yeah. No, Doom is absolutely the next, like, once they, because this is their reset phase. And again, that's another thing that really annoys me about people when they look at I'm like, do you not understand what's going on here? Like, they had to do a shuffle and introduce all these characters because they're trying to make they're trying to pull together 20 years of Marvel junk and make it go together, you know, and that's what's going to happen now. So once they kind of get this done, they do Secret Wars, Spider-Man will be gone, they'll probably bring in Miles, and they'll have a new status quo to carry it through the next 5 years. But Secret Wars is going to be huge, and obviously if you read Secret Wars, it's kind of okay, it's not great, but that's why I'm saying I don't think it will be Battle World. I do think it will be the Multiversal War,
which I felt like kind of like that. What I think was one of the more interesting and more surprising announcements from all of this is that I don't think they've announced who's producing the Secret War movie yet, but they've announced the director for the Avengers Kang Dynasty movie, and they're pulling back Shang-Chi's Destin Daniel Cretton.
Brilliant,
which is awesome. I like, because you know you'd expect them to kind of go back on, say, maybe the
Russos.
The Russos. I was going to say the Coens. I was like, that's not right.
No, I mean, the Russos are good for telling the story that they told.
Yeah.
I do not think, because with the multiverse stuff, you kind of have to have someone who's really able to, who's really able to play with that. And Shang-Chi was that kind of movie where you're like, you have the cool fight scenes, but then it's like, Shang-Chi is such a weird movie. Because like I obviously really liked it, but it was like 5 movies in one.
Yeah, the pacing was
all over the
snapshot. Yeah,
but I mean, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get all these variants appearing and trying to balance that. And I'd imagine they probably will do it in the Secret Wars as well, which is why I'm saying I nearly put money on it. Battle World is not happening. Secret Wars is multiversal. I just don't see why they do Battle World unless Kang sets it up to end the war. But I'll tell you one thing, man, there's a lot going on here. This is, people are like, oh, why is it not clicking together? Here it is.
Yeah.
Here it is. Like Phase 4, to be fair, look, I had some duds, but it was just a kind of palate cleanser. It was
really setting up and cleaning up after Infinity War.
Yeah, but also allowing the universe to absorb Fox, Netflix, everything they got back, basically. Because I remember, like, when this started, when the MCU started, all they had was Iron Man.
Yeah, when the MCU started, it wasn't a global phenomenon. They had an Iron Man movie, and then, hey, people know who the Hulk is. We've got Ed Norton. Let's do a Hulk movie. And
the rights are a train wreck for that, which is why we've never got a Hulk movie since.
Yeah.
Because apparently Universal will not let it happen, which is why you got World War Hulk in Thor 3.
Which is wild considering they're basically pulling a lot of that into She-Hulk.
Yeah, same.
Of all the things. Yeah.
So that's why you'll never get a Hulk. Like, they're just like, oh, if we just add She to it, that's how we get around it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm okay with. But, I mean, Kev, we're obviously going to be keeping, like, this is one of our buckets. I feel really bad for DC because DC announced 2 things and that was it.
Yeah.
I love Black Adam. Black Adam is one of the coolest characters ever, but it was kind of like, why did you even turn up, lads?
Just, hey, we've got The Rock playing a Black Superman. Let's go. Let's do it.
Well, no, he's not even a Black Superman. He's like, this thing, Black Adam is such a cool character, again, in the comics. He really is. Like, he's one of my, like, when I'm playing Injustice, he is my character in a play. He's basically just evil Shazam, but also not evil, but very evil in the comics. So I'm like, all right, Rock.
Morally grey.
Yeah, but murders hundreds of people, thousands of people. That's
morally grey.
I'm just like, trying to walk that back. Okay.
It is very interesting, actually, because like it's hard to see DC planning things considering their scattershot approach.
Oh, no.
I like sometimes.
I like it too.
But the fact that like we're getting a Black Adam movie and then the second Shazam movie, it's almost like they've put some thought into this.
Well, look, again, once you stop looking at these like movies and you look at them the way they do their comics, that's the success. Marvel, for years, for like 70 years, had this on-running continuity, right? For years, and then they rebooted it like 4 or 5 years ago. But 70, 80 years of this one line where it all went back to the very first Marvel book of the Human Torch, and then the Strange Tales and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then it went to where they rebooted it. DC reboot all the time, every couple of years. So I mean, once you look at it that way, they're like, lads, this is how your stories work. Tell stories that don't need to link together. You're DC. Marvel works a little bit differently because they're all supposed to exist together. DC is like, yeah, sure, show up sometimes maybe.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, no, DC. Nobody's looking. We can swap out our Flash because they're attacking people in Hawaii. Nobody's gonna notice.
Well, the big multiverse. Oh, that was a different Flash. There you go. That's what they did.
Yeah.
I mean, the development. There's a great book called Super Gods by Grant Morrison, and he talked in between his rants about weird magic he did in his house, which it's the wildest book you've ever read. It's at the same time his life, which is insane. But then also this in-depth history of comics going all the way back to the Golden Age. And he's like, yeah, basically what happened was they had the multiverse. Kids grew up reading the multiverse. Editors got rid of the multiverse. Kids who grew up reading the multiverse loved it, brought it back. And that continued for 80 years. We had this constant battle between generations going, we're getting rid of it, we're bringing it back, we're getting rid of it. And I mean, DC seemed to have actually got it where it's like, no one wants that continuity, just make good movies. And if they connect, cool. If not, they're all part of the same multiverse, which that's what they're doing. Speaking of which,
it's not, or hey, we just got a good movie and let's just let that ride.
Absolutely. One thing that they didn't talk about, Kev, at Comic-Con, which I was very upset about.
Yep.
No Morbius 2. Morbin. Where was Morbin time?
I think Morbin time was during the second theatrical release. And yeah, no,
I wanted that. I was devastated.
I don't think there was actually, because the only other kind of major player.
There wasn't. I mean, it's just like, no, we're not talking about it.
No. But yeah, no, there actually wasn't any like Sony announcements because they're really trying to bring back their like Spider-Man universe.
Yeah, I mean,
in a big way, because I think there's been soft rumors about Andrew Garfield coming back Spider-Man.
That would be cool. I mean, that's what they should do. They should have, So look, Sony, here's one for free. The multiverse of Spider-Man. Make multiverse Spider-Man movies.
Yeah,
there you go. I mean, you can do 2099, you can do Into the Spider-Verse, or even just say the Spider-Verse universe. You can have Andrew Garfield, and then drop them in. I mean, it's almost like there's source material to pull from that they just need to read. It's incredible. But
no, you see, Dad, the problem here, readings for nerds.
That's true.
And film execs ain't nerds. They're selling to nerds, but they ain't.
So I saw Thor 4 for the fourth time there during the week, right? And there was a bit, I've seen it, so I know what happens. Great movie, right? But there's a bit in it where Natalie Portman is trying to come up with a catchphrase. And they should have just taken it down for like a couple of days, re-edited her saying it's Torben time at one point. Just because they can actually patch movies in real time. They can actually do it. They did it for Cats. Yeah. I'm like, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you just ADR in the line? It's Torben time.
Now you know that, Dara, you got to reclaim that power yourself. That's now you've got to be put in the hands of the people. We have to seize those means ourselves.
So do a fan edit where she says,
"Yeah, no, absolutely, make a YouTube poop." Yeah.
Oh my god. How much time do we have left? Actually,
about 15 minutes.
Oh, brilliant. We'll go for half an hour. Okay, so I have a story.
Great. Okay.
No, I mean it's relevant. So so I was one of the first people to order Cyberpunk 2077 when it came out, right?
Of course.
And I was like, I can't wait to play this game. I bought into the hype. So I gave up on hype with Watch Dogs. I bought a new computer for Watch Dogs. And it released, and I was like, I'm devastated. This is the worst game ever. Because it was really bad. I mean, the second one kind of redeemed it, and then the third one came out, and it's like, so you got lucky that one time. Good job.
Great. Hey, Ubisoft, stop.
Just you're hurting yourself. So Cyberpunk, like everybody, I was kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. And then they brought out Keanu Reeves. I'm like, shut up and take my money, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Keanu Reeves as a cyber rock star with one metal hand named Johnny Silverhand.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, easy sell.
Everyone went in and bought it. So obviously it arrived, broken mess, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I'm going to give them 6 months to patch it. Played on the PS4, got halfway through it. And then I've actually almost finished it. And then I was like, right, life happened. And I went back to it this week to play it. I'm like, you know what? I haven't played in a while. Cyberpunk, I want to go back and finish it. Because they released a big patch that fixed a lot of things, right? Pop in the PS4, download the patch. Download failed.
Ooh, no.
And then I'm like, oh no. Try again. 8 hours later, download failed. Oh no. So then what I do is I'm like, oh, I can just upload this to the PS4, the PS5, download the PS5, the PS4 version, and play it on the PS5. So I'm able to play it. The moral of this story, ladies and gentlemen, if I hadn't have had a PS5, there is no way I would have been able to play Cyberpunk 2077 after the fix happened.
I don't know if they ever put the PS4 version back up for sale.
I think it is up for sale, or if you have the disc, you can download it. But that killed. Like I cannot play Cyberpunk on my PS4 anymore. I just can't do it. It's killed the game.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, whoa, okay. Now, that being said, and it is really unfortunate because I watched a really good video during the week that actually today that actually hit the nail on the head. Cyberpunk 2077 is an incredible game. It really, but here's the reason. It's not a fun game. It's not fun. I mean, it's not like, well, I mean, it is, but it's not really. It's a great experience. And it's a very rewarding game because when I'm playing it, I am having a wonderful time. Despite the fact I was playing it last night again on a PlayStation 5 with the new patch. And during a cutscene, a truck was flying through the sky. Not a flying truck.
No.
A regular truck that was glitching so badly, it left the ground, went through a character, and went up into the sky.
Well, it's good to know the spice is still in there.
Not only that, at the same time, the dead characters were glitching through the floor. So it may have broke my ability to play it on a PS4, but it definitely didn't fix all the bugs. And there are videos out there. Upper Echelon Gaming covers the testing and that kind of stuff of it. But I mean, here's the thing. It's a shame because I will go on record and say I love Cyberpunk 2077. It's one of the best games I've ever played. It's a broken, janky mess. But you know what? That adds to the Cyberpunk aesthetic of it. Because Cyberpunk is supposed to be janky, broken, and messy. It's wonderful. But at the same time, I really wish
the game worked.
I wish the game worked.
The game worked.
And I didn't have to, like, again, dude, if I didn't have a PS5, that would have been it. I would have had to start. Actually, no. I wouldn't have been able to play it, period, because the game doesn't even, like, I mean, I could play it on without the patch, but the game didn't start. It was literally like download fail. That was it.
Yeah, no.
It took, I was talking to Katie actually as it was happening, and I was like, 8 hours later, so she goes, she couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah, sent her the picture of it. 8 hours and nothing. The moral story here is PS5 or PC. And you were saying before I went on air, PS5. You have one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I've got a PS5.
Now the cool thing about it is if you have the PS4 version, you can get the free upgrade. I'd recommend just playing on the PS5 because once I finish this playthrough on the PS4 version, playing on a PS5, I'm just going to play on the PS5. Like get the version and just play straight because, I mean, the thing about it is set your expectations. The game is a broken mess, but it's a wonderful broken mess. And I think it's not fun, as in like you're not sitting there going, ha ha ha, this is a great time. It's a great story. And I mean, just being in Night City, you're like, oh, this is cool, So,
yeah, no, I have it sitting there. I got a copy off a friend of mine, and I've been waiting for it to take its time in the oven until it's not quite as broken. And I'm going to play it on the PS5 so that it actually will, Now
the PS5 version works, and apparently it works great. And the PC version worked pretty much from week one because modders fixed it.
Yeah,
they fixed it immediately,
but
which says everything. You
But
need
yeah,
to know.
no, I kind of I get where you're coming from though, in terms of like what you were kind of saying, because it's less about like playing the game and getting it. It's more about getting into that world, because
Yeah.
I've actually just kind of gone through that myself with a different game, in that I spent the past couple of months playing Ghost of Tsushima,
Yes,
which, for a start, point number one, is a game that works
it works.
and
yeah.
is made properly.
It's a beautiful game.
But-
It's a beautiful
but-
game that works. Do buy that. Yeah, it's a great game.
But no, it is a beautiful game with an incredible sense of scenery, an
Yes.
incredible sense of environment and texture, and just really kind of just sucks you into that era.
But that's what you want, though.
That sort of vibe of
That's
Kurosawa
exactly what you want.
films. Looking back now, after kind of sinking 80 odd hours into it, I was like, yeah, I mean, it was a fine game. The swordplay was okay. The duels were pretty cool. I did spend a lot of my time doing the exact same thing.
Petting the
Oh,
fox.
Oh, completely chasing the fox everywhere it could, chasing those yellow birds off the cliff to my death. Completely.
You got to do it.
Loving my horse more than any man could. But yeah, like I sit into it. I sink about 10 hours into it, going through Jin's story and just kind of exploring the world in the Island of Tsushima. And I come out of that 10 hours like, I mean, I don't feel particularly filled. The game was fine, but you just kind of get lost in that world.
See, the thing about it is, it's like when you play GTA Online, I didn't like GTA 5 at all, actually. I didn't really like GTA 4 until I found out I could be Iron Man. and then Saints Row 4 came out, and I'm like, grand, but this is the only game.
Oh, but yeah, then the better game, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is a mess, but it's a wonderful mess.
Oh, that's a
Wonderful.
beautiful mess.
Oh, I love it so much. I really do. But anyway, I mean, those games aren't fulfilling in the same way that those experiences are, where it's kind of like playing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. That game is a janky mess for pretty much the same reason as this one was. It was forced to be released. You know, in one case, it was a company going, "You better release this," or else. And this time, it was the fans going, "You better release this," or else. And then the fans got what they wanted. So really, do be careful what you wish for, because Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
But I mean, the difference here is, like, when you're playing it, like when I went back, like I would have been actually devastated if my save didn't play, because I'm invested in that world. That's my character. There's a story being told. And I mean, I don't get that with other games. Like you'd bang a couple hours through GTA, and yeah, you have your loot or whatever, but it's not the same. Like the experience and just the way the world is kind of done, even to like the hacking, like the mechanics aren't great. Like, the hacking's a bit lame. Swordplay is actually not bad. The gunplay is the driving is terrible. But I mean, that's not what's important. It's the whole package, and that package is still there. And I would say, you know, if you haven't played it yet, PS5, PlayStation, a PS5 or PC, download the patch and just sit down and lose yourself in it, and be prepared for it.
Don't spend more than 30 quid on it.
No, but also, I mean, like, the thing about it is, if you're going in, like, the expectation, they sold it in a way that it wasn't. They thought it was going to be like a Saints Row 4, you know, and I mean, it just isn't. It's just not that kind of game, but it never was. I mean, this is CD Projekt Red, you know, they make serious, like, The Witcher is a very, very boring game until it's not. Well, The Witcher 3. And then it kind of gets into it. And I mean, the same with Cyberpunk. So I'm just like, I think this game suffered from an awful lot of an identity disorder, which the mess of its development didn't help. But going back to it now, it's a very rewarding experience. And when I saw the video on YouTube, I was like, whoa, this guy actually, I've never heard someone actually say that before. And I'm like, this is exactly the way it was for me.
Now, just talking about Cyberpunk, to just kind of quickly plug a YouTube channel.
Yeah, go for it.
There is he's a long-time games journalist. His name is Tim Rogers. Has a YouTube channel called Action Button Reviews.
Right.
A lot of, like, I'm a real sucker for several hour-long YouTube video essays.
Me too. I love them, man.
Yeah,
love them. Yep.
He has a series. He has a series doing video games. Now, I would thoroughly recommend watching them in sequence, because he does end up having a very thin kind of running idea through them all, starting with the Final Fantasy VII remake, and then he does one on like 3 hours on Doom, 4.5 hours on Pac-Man, 5.5 hours on a very obscure Japanese-only dating simulator called Tokimeki Memorial. That is an exceptional 5.5 hour video. That is some Mondo food. But the season finale, as he called it, was Cyberpunk. And he stated that in his first episode before Cyberpunk came out. He was like, I am tracing basically a line of video games to get to Cyberpunk when that comes out. So the Cyberpunk video comes out, and like everything's been like 3, 4, 5 hours. Cyberpunk video, less than an hour. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. That's weird. So I put it on, and the clever man, that clever boy, that video was part 1 into what would effectively become like a YouTube ARG. Where he had where when you clicked into that video, it was that hour long was the intro, and then he made 8 other several hour long videos on Cyberpunk in a privatized playlist, which was linked in the description of that first video, and then recommended that you choose 2 of those videos in the playlist to watch, and then watch the conclusion, and then go back and catch them up. He is a madman.
Well, I mean, that's actually the experience. The thing about it's a shame because it's going to go down as one of the biggest disasters in gaming, and it is. But that's not the problem. The game is still there, and it's a wonderful world. Most people, and on the internet, again, it's like what we were saying. The discourse is, oh, it's terrible. It's like, yeah, it's a broken mess. But so was Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and that's one of the best games you can ever play, ever. And it's a shame because what I'd say is if you played it for an hour and gave up, go back. It's not that kind of game. You're not going to get your instant serotonin hit in an hour. Yeah, you got to take off your clothes. You got to dip your foot in, and you got to put the whole leg in. Yeah, you just got to soak yourself in this neon pool. And that's it. And I mean, the thing about it is, it's like I was talking to Bryn a while ago, and he was saying, he goes, "Oh, the gun," like we were joking, the gunplay is terrible, and it is really bad. The combat is horrendously bad. Melee, not so much, but again, look who the developers are. You know, there's stuff they can do and stuff they can't.
The Witcher didn't have guns for several reasons.
Yeah, but the actual, like, you can play the whole. For example, there's a mechanic. I won't get too much into it because I know we're short for time, but you can actually play the whole. There's a mechanic in it where you can upgrade your OS, right? Your body's OS, but you install mods for a build, right? There's a whole. You don't need to do any of that. You can just play the whole game without that. You can play the whole game without killing anybody. You can play the whole game without pretty much doing whatever you want. You're able to live an entire life in Cyberpunk, and it's all up to you. And I mean, that is just that's the whole point of an RPG. It's like Vampire the Masquerade. Every time you play, and that would be my go-to. And I would say, look, buy both those games. Vampire the Masquerade specifically. Buy it on GOG, don't buy it on Steam because it's broken still. But and I mean, there you go. That game's 20 years old and still broken on Steam because the patch needs to be installed. I think just dismissing something like this because of what happened is misguided, because we've been here before. This is not the first time a broken game has been released, but to overlook a broken game because it's broken is a crime. Because this isn't Watch Dogs 1, folks, where it was full on disappointment, where the game itself was garbage here. No, the game is just broken, but the actual game itself is wonderful. It's like when you smash the screen of your phone.
Yeah,
don't throw the phone out. You try and get the screen fixed because the phone is still fine. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. This is a pristine phone that works perfectly and has a lot to give. Just the screen is broken.
Okay, I think with that thesis statement, and gotta emphasize, it is still broken. Do not spend more than €30 on Cyberpunk.
Do not buy it on the PS4. Folks.
Do not buy the PS4.
Don't buy it on past generation. Either buy it on the PS5 or buy it on the PC.
But with that thesis statement, I think we're going to wrap up the show.
Oh, one more thing, actually. KOTOR's cancelled. the remake, which sucks so badly. Knights of the Republic sucks. Disappointing.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Don't have time for Star Wars though, Dara. We're wrapping up the show.
I know. Also, Doctor Who looks like it's going to be bought by Disney.
We can talk about that next week.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to get
rapid fire.
we covered everything on the list, though. I will have to say. So fair go us.
Yeah, we did well. Obviously, you can find us on nerdtoknowmedia.com. Follow us on all the socials.
Yes.
Check us out on Spotify. As we mentioned up top, if you're going to be at Dublin City Comic Con, we're going to be on Sunday at the Geek Ireland panel room at 3 p.m. Literally everything is wrestling. It's going to be a blast, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at KevTalek94. Dara, anything you want to say to people?
Yeah. So again, go over to nerdtoknowmedia.com. If it's your first time checking out the show, please do spread the word of the show because that helps us a great deal. Email us, tweet us. Everything is there. If you're going to Comic-Con, please do pop in. Say, hey, it's going to be a good time. We're all going to be there. And look, our panel's interactive. The whole point of it is we get to meet people and talk to people. So a lot of panels aren't interactive because they're not like that. Ours actually is. So if you're going, you'll have an experience unlike any other. And that's what we want to do. So show up, buy a ticket. It helps us as well. And again, but if you don't want to spend any money, that's totally cool as well. Just go to nerdtoknowmedia.com. Keep listening to the show, and you can also follow me on Twitter at DaraWV. And yeah, that's it.
And we will catch you all next week.
Ahoy.
Ahoy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
All right, so you're listening to the podcast. You're like, hey, I'm not in Ireland. How do I get in touch? Well, TuneIn has you covered. That's how you can check us out live when we're on the radio. You go to TuneIn and download the app, or you can check out the live streams on nerdtoknowmedia.com or Phoenix 92.5 FM. If you want to get in contact with us, it's very easy. Nerd to Know Media everywhere. Nerd to Know Media on Twitter. Nerd to Know Media Instagram. Nerd to Know Media on Twitch. Nerd to Know Media at gmail.com if you want to reach out via email. Hope to hear from you soon.
What are you doing over there in Ireland? Like with the freaking leprechauns and everything. That's not cool. You should be over here with the cosplayers. At least then you could, like, I don't know, pretend like you got, I don't know, some kind of thing going on. Yeah, you give me a Brooklyn wave. Yeah, with ya. Sarah. Anyway, we miss you.
Face down, face up, trap cuts, spell cuts, then time to let go. I love it. All I do is just believe in the heart.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.